Merrick, Stewart, Bourne, and Marchese. Before you say anything, Stewie, give us the fashion rundown.
I don't know about that pin. Is that a volleyball pin or what is that?
Participation volleyball pin.
Thanks for coming out. Here you go.
It's tight, man. Come on.
What is that? What was the pin that Dubas was wearing today?
We couldn't figure it out.
It looked like a
You sent me
Minnesota
the
North
picture.
Stars.
I don't think it was the Minnesota North Stars.
It looked like the Yellow Pages logo.
What is that pin? Is that indicative of anything?
It's
Like maybe a knitting pin?
yeah,
What is that?
that's exactly what it is.
What
It's
is
like a
it?
chicken ball for Mandarin.
A buddy of mine sent it to me. It's not a chicken ball from
You're not
Mandarin.
going to tell us what it is, are you?
No, I'm not going to.
But it is something,
It is something.
and you're sitting on it.
Yeah, I'm not. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I have it.
He
I have
wore
it
it
for my
specifically because he wanted us to talk about it. Now he doesn't want to.
No,
And
I
now
actually
take a secret
didn't.
handshake with him and his buddy. This is Matty Marchese, party of one.
That's my table over there.
Yeah,
So he's part of the Stonecutters.
that's right. We don't have
Him
a
and-
secret handshake,
Yeah,
bud.
him and Homer Simpson.
That's the problem. All right, Matty has questions.
All right,
The fashion roasting is done.
that's it.
Until Gift Master gets on you, run.
I'm waiting for it.
205.
I'm waiting for it. Do we really believe that any Leaf team that Mike Babcock had was good enough to win a Stanley Cup? Because the goal was Mike Babcock was going to win a Stanley Cup here,
Yeah.
and he didn't. But was any team actually good enough to win a Stanley Cup?
The one this year? The one this year, if healthy, I'm trying to make the case. Not really.
Regardless of the roster, I think the coach's job is to get the most out of his players. And you look at teams that are having success this year, whether or not they win the cup, they're getting the most out of their players. You're looking at Trotz, you're looking at Tippett, you're looking at coaches like Tocchet, who their team is not nearly as talented as the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they're having success because they're buying into their system and he's getting the most out of his players.
Good enough that they probably should have scared more teams. Good enough that they probably should have won a few rounds, but still, one of the youngest teams in the NHL. And I think the best you can expect from a squad like that was to throw a good scare into some teams that were going to eventually beat them in a 7-game series and go on to win the Stanley Cup. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think
Is that
so.
fair?
Yeah. How quickly do we think Mike Babcock resurfaces? And did the beginning of this season hurt his rep a little bit?
I don't know. I think it comes down to if he wants to coach again. Like for me, if I'm Mike Babcock coming out of 4.5 years in Toronto, and I'm going to get paid $6.5 million a year to not work, I might take some time. I might not rush back.
I think he's probably going to get more money to sit on the couch, but could you see him resurfacing maybe in like a Detroit? I haven't really thought of it.
You want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Let's talk about it.
Seattle.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Ron Francis has talked openly about wanting a veteran coach.
Don't get much more veteran than Mike Babcock at this point,
With
right?
the Stanley Cup and the Olympic golds and all that experience, and they have a very rich ownership.
Pacific
I don't know.
Northwest there, Babs might like
Pacific
it.
Northwest is lovely this time of year, I assure you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Just throw it out,
that's
just
a
throw it
great,
out there as a conversation point.
And his kids are older, like he said. I wouldn't coach in Toronto if my kids were younger, and his kids are older, so maybe family, doesn't really weigh into this all that much, right?
I will say there's no chance that Babs is like, that's a career. I think he's too competitive to sit on one Stanley Cup and be like, yeah, that's good enough for me. I think he will be back, just a matter of, does he want to get right back into it? That's a personal thing I couldn't speak to.
Well, you mentioned Seattle, and you led into my next. Well, it wasn't my next question, but I made it my next question. So Friedge reported in his 31 Thoughts article that the Seattle franchise will do their first mock expansion draft in January. Yep. Firstly, how cool is that? And secondly, would you rather take over an expansion team or a team that has struggled over the last few seasons and has some high draft picks on it?
George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon wrecked it because now everybody wants to
exactly
do that.
What I was going to say.
You know how hard it is to do? You know what I'd rather be? I would rather be the second general manager of an expansion team.
Mm-hmm.
Let someone else go and make all the mistakes and then come in like the knight.
100%.
To save the day. That's what I would rather do. The Golden Knight. There you go, to extend that metaphor.
And not to
George
mention,
and Kelly wrecked it for everybody.
They wrecked it for everyone. And not to mention now, everyone saw what Vegas did and was like, oh, we're not trading them all our good our good players to not take player XYZ.
Yeah.
They realize now, I think, that it's better just say, take one guy, rip the Band-Aid off, and we're not going to, kill ourselves here. So Seattle's they've got a tough situation here where teams have learned their lesson from how Vegas played them. So, I don't think it's an easy job for the next guy.
I still think you can still build a contender based on other teams' spare parts. So they're not going to get the picks that Vegas had, but I still think they can ice a competitive team. Conference, Stanley Cup, Finalist team, no, but a playoff team, I think.
You know what it's going to cement? It's going to cement how great a job Vegas did.
Yeah.
And it's all the way down. Like, it's not, we even mentioned something like Scott Luce. Like, it's sure George and Kelly, McCrimmon and McPhee, but right down the list. Like, you look at the picks that they picked up and who they selected and what they turned those picks into, and then had an owner who said, I know we're an expansion team, but look how good we are. We can't think and behave like an expansion team. A lot of things hit like right away, and you had an owner that said, I'm not getting any younger. Go for it.
Yeah.
Seattle's probably going to be terrible. You think that they have a chance to be good?
I want to see what their name is. Can they get a nickname already?
I want the Squatch. Seattle Sasquatch.
Yes, thank you.
It's great.
Yeah, right. With the great.
Yeah.
There's your logo.
I'm in.
there,
Well,
the
bring back the
Sasquatch logo.
Supersonics.
Somebody
Sean Kemp
please
in that.
screen cap that and send it to Ron Francis, Jeff Merrick as the
I
logo.
talked to him at the Primetime Sports Conference, and I threw that one out at him. He just got Friedman wants Krakens.
Yes, he mentioned that in his article.
Why?
You know what? I don't think it should be Krakens. Because what do you think the rink's going to be called?
I don't know. What do you got?
The Crack House.
I was
You
going to
don't
let
think
him
for
take
one
that one.
second. Like, I'm like, Elliot. They can't call them that. We're winding down quickly, Matty. What else you
Quickly,
got?
Senators have won 7 of their last 10, and they're 3 points out of a playoff spot. Is there any chance that the Ottawa Senators can make the playoffs?
No.
Yes or no?
I already answered. No.
Stewie?
I'll pass the buck to
Yeah,
you.
they're having a great November, but
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
a lot.
so.
It's a lot of fun.
Just wait.
They're having a great November.
Good jerseys.